Hello students, welcome to my class. Today our topic is jurisdiction of civil courts. So today we are dealing with section 9 of the Code of Civil Procedure 1908. So let's begin. First you need to clear the concept of jurisdiction. It means the extent of the power of a court to entertain suits and application. Rather, you can say that it is the power of the court to hear and determine a cause, to adjudicate and exercise any judicial power in relation to it. It is the official power to make legal decisions and judgments. Now, question arises as who determines the jurisdiction of court? The jurisdiction of court is determined by legislature. Dealing with the question of jurisdiction of civil court, the Supreme Court of India in Achyuta Nair versus P. Narayanan Nair held that in India, the question whether a suit is cognizable by a civil court is to be decided with reference to Section 9 of Civil Procedure Code 1908. Any decree or order passed by court without jurisdiction is void. There are total four kinds of jurisdiction. First, original or appellate jurisdiction. Second, jurisdiction over subject matter. Third, local or territorial jurisdiction. And lastly, pecuniary jurisdiction. Now, let's discuss about original and appellate jurisdiction. A court may have original or appellate jurisdiction, or it may have both. In the exercise of its original jurisdiction, a court entertains and tries original suits instituted in that particular court. That means such courts are of first instance. It entertains and decides original suits. But courts with appellate jurisdiction can entertain appeals from the orders and judgments of lower courts. As we have said earlier, that a court may have both the jurisdiction, that is original jurisdiction and appellate jurisdiction. Such a court is a high court. High courts have both the original as well as appellate jurisdiction. In order to decide the competency of a court, it is not only necessary that it should have local and territorial jurisdiction and pecuniary jurisdiction, but it must also possess subject matter jurisdiction. Different courts have been empowered to decide different kinds of suits. Like in other words, it can be said that certain courts which cannot try certain suits, although they may be having local as well as pecuniary jurisdiction. For example, a small cause court which deals with matters related to promissory note or money for work done. Such limitation regarding jurisdiction over subject matter is fixed by law, and the subject matter may be civil dispute, consumer dispute, family dispute, industrial dispute, etc. Now let's discuss about local or territorial jurisdiction. Every court has its own local limits beyond which it cannot exercise its jurisdiction. Like beyond its local limits, the writ of the courts does not lie. These limits are usually fixed by the state government. Like a district judge has a territorial jurisdiction within his own district and not outside it. And similarly, a high court has got a territorial jurisdiction over the territory of the state in which it is situated. In terms of Section 6 of the Code, a court will have jurisdiction only over those suits the amount or value of the subject of which does not exceed the pecuniary limit of its jurisdiction. Not only the territorial limit of every court is fixed by the government, but the pecuniary limit is also fixed by the government. A court cannot try a suit or appeal the valuation of which exceeds its pecuniary or monetary limit. High courts and district courts specifically have unlimited pecuniary jurisdiction, but courts inferior to district court and courts of small causes have their pecuniary limits fixed, which cannot go beyond that particular limit. Now question arises as when court shall have no jurisdiction at all. A court shall have no jurisdiction when the suit is either expressly barred or impliedly barred. There are only two provisions for this question. That is, if the suit is expressly barred or if the suit is impliedly barred. The expression expressly barred under section 9 means barred by an enactment for the time being in force. In other words, when by means of an express provision in any enactment or statute, the legislature bars the jurisdiction of a civil court, that is said to be expressly barred, and such exclusion must be clear and unambiguous in nature. Now, jurisdiction to civil courts are impliedly barred under two conditions. First, barred by general principles of law. Second, barred on grounds of public policy. Suits are impliedly barred by general principles of law, such as suits relating to acts of state. When any specific remedy is provided by a statute, it thereby deprives the person insisting upon a remedy of any other form other than it is given by the statute. You have to abide by what the statute specifically says. Secondly, certain suits are barred from the cognizance of civil court on grounds of public policy. The principle is that a court should not take in matters which are injurious to and against public welfare. Like a suit would lie for damages on account of breach of contract which is illegal. Such suit will not be entertained by the court as it is illegal in nature. So, relating to objection to jurisdiction, certain points comes up. First, if a suit is instituted in a court not having any sort of jurisdiction, it is liable to get rejected. Secondly, the defense of want of jurisdiction can be raised before court in first instance or in appeal also. So, you can take the defense of want of jurisdiction during original suit as well as in appellate suit. And lastly, if defendant take objection to jurisdiction of the court, then such court has to frame preliminary issues as to jurisdiction and to record its findings. The court has to record all the findings relating to the preliminary issue of jurisdiction of the court. Thank you, students. If you have any problem regarding this chapter, please write down in the comment box below. Thank you.